And join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could you call the roll, please?
Dennis,
Here.
Harold,
Here.
Hollenbaugh,
Here.
Musgrave,
Here.
Odoricio,
Here.
Phipps,
Here.
Robinette.
Here.
Okay, to start things off this evening, we have a couple of promotions with the police department. So, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask Chief White to join me. We have a couple more promotions in the police division. As we've said earlier, in the midst of other promotions, this is an active time of leadership transition at the Bowling Green Police Division, and we could not be more proud of all of those officers who are stepping up to be leaders in this. So I would like to begin this evening by asking Vincent Snyder and his family, if you so wish, to join me in the front and Chief White so that we can administer the oath of office. How are you? Good. Relax. It's easy. Very simple. That's it. Okay. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Vincent Snyder,
I, Vincent Snyder,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws
I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the City of Bowling Green.
of the City of Bowling Green,
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Police Sergeant,
of the Office of Police Sergeant,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Vincent.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very much for your service. Thank you all very much.
Just a little bit about Benny. He's been with us for 9 years. He has served in a lot of capacities in that time. Bike officer, FTO, recruiter. He's also our SEPTED officer. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Mobile field force. It's a lot, so I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But before that, Benny has worked with kids for a long time. He was part of the Educational Service Center, I believe, here in town. So he's a valuable asset, especially when it comes to dealing with our youth population. He's known of a lot of kids through that program and has helped to, when he sees them in the community, to have a relationship with them already, which is definitely a valuable asset for us. So I appreciate all the work you've done and congratulations.
Thank you very much. You make us proud. Thank you. There you go. Okay, very good. Thank you. Next, I'd like to ask Jeff Lowry and his family to please come forward. Jeff, good evening. Okay, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Jeff Lowry,
I, Jeff Lowry,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws
that I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the City of Bowling Green.
of the City of Bowling Green,
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Police Lieutenant,
of the Office of Police Lieutenant,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you for your service.
Jeff has been on the department for 24 years, same amount of time that I've been on. He has served in, again, various capacities over the years, to include bike officer, field training officer, on SRT for many years on the county special response team. He was a team leader for, I don't even know how many years.
16, about 8 years of
Yeah, team leader, which that basically there were two teams at the time. You had a commander, and then you had the team leader. So Jeff was pretty high up in that, and he was placed there just because of his expertise. So I'm really happy that he's our next lieutenant. I I know he's going to do a good job.
Sure will.
So,
Mike,
Congratulations.
appreciate it.
Thank you both for stepping up and taking on additional responsibilities. Okay, we have another special presentation this evening from the Bicycle Safety Commission.
Good evening. The Bicycle Safety Commission of Bowling Green it annually awards a Bike Spokesperson Award. We have a very historic presentation tonight because for the very first time, we're recognizing not one, but a group of individuals, and for the very first time, a group of youngsters. They are called the Montessori Bike Gang, even though we don't want to glorify the idea of a bike. And I'd like the following individuals to come forward. Matt and Josephine Bostic, and Ben and Henry Clemens, Ella and Luke Sommerfeld, Ingrid Stansbury, Corey and Cole Vanneman. And your parents may join you if you'd like to come out too, parents. So come on up here.
You guys wanna come up here?
Come on up here. So everybody, we're gonna line up just for a minute here. And their nominee spoke to a number of these individuals. They get together every morning, every school morning, and bicycle together to work in what some communities is called a bicycle bus. So it promotes safety. They all wear helmets. They are following the rules of the road, stopping at red, staying to the right. And they particularly use, because they go to the Montessori school, they use the hybrid beacon that crosses on Sandridge Road. So they have expressed how much fun they have as a group, and the fact that they really love being friends together as a group. And we're especially pleased to be able to recognize a group of youngsters who are growing up. I know from personal experience in my family, at about this age, bicycling tends not to be very cool, but they're obviously putting the cool into it. So we would like to offer that. Yes, go ahead.
So there is a plaque, and so you guys are listed as the MSBG Bike Gang, okay? We did not have enough room to list all your names. We also did not have enough room to spell out Montessori. But as a former parent and former board member, I know that you can shorten it to MSBG. So that's what we have. We will somehow, we're gonna take a picture when we're done here and maybe that will work, but if not, I'm sure one parent or another maybe has a good picture, portrait, landscape. And we'll put the picture in there, and this will be hanging in the hallway at the community center. So, I can't, well, every year the winner does not get to keep this, but with 9 of you, you couldn't really have this anyway. So we do have your own certificate that you can take home, which is actually a little easier made it fun. So that you can take home, but come out to the community center and you can be like, yeah.
So I would like to mention that for the third year running, the Bicycle Safety Commission has collaborated with CycleWorks, the bicycle store in town, and they are offering a $50 gift certificate, which this group will have to figure out how to All right, so if you come up, I will give you your certificate. Matthew Bostic. There you go, Matthew. Josephine Bostic? Not yet. Okay. Will you take Josephine's certificate for us? How about Ben Clements? Henry Clements. Ella Sommerfeld. Luke Sommerfeld. Ingrid Stansberg. Corey Bannerman. And Cole Bannerman. And how about Cole? Would you like to hold on to this for the group and your parents and you, and maybe the Montessori school can decide how you'd like to use the $50 gift certificate. All right? So thank you very much for your attention
All right.
and for allowing this presentation.
All right. Thank you very much. Good job, guys. Some epic hair.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell them that one of the conditions is they have to stay for the whole council.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for the gang to clear the building, the minutes from our meeting on June 2nd were distributed prior to tonight for your perusal. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Jody, do we have any correspondence this evening?
There's no correspondence for this evening.
Okay. That brings us to lobby visitations. Do we have anyone signed up for lobby visitations?
We do. Maeve, is it Georgeson? We stepped to the podium.
If you could just give your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Maeve Georgeson of 4532 Greensburg Pike. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Maeve, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of BGO Pride, Bowling Green's LGBTQ+ nonprofit dedicated to creating a more inclusive and supportive community for all. We are thrilled to officially announce that BG Pride 2025 will take place on Saturday, June 28th, from 12 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Wooster Green, right in the heart of downtown Bowling Green. This year's Pride event will feature local vendors, community organizations, live entertainment, food trucks, and family-friendly activities, all designed to uplift and celebrate the diverse identities that make up our city. BGO Pride is proud to call Bowling Green home, and we are deeply grateful for the ongoing partnership with city leaders and departments who continue to show up for our LGBTQ+ community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's everyone for this evening.
Okay. That brings us to the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
from the Finance Committee, I have 6 ordinances and 1 resolution, all relating to the proposed improvements to police and fire facilities. The intent is that all 7 pieces of legislation will receive the normal 3 readings over the course of 3 regular city council meetings. And for 3 of those ordinances, specifically numbers 9288, 9289, and 9290, the intent is to table them after the 3rd reading until the first city council meeting after the November 4th election and learning the results of the question of a municipal tax increase. The emergency clause that you'll hear requested for those 3 ordinances is requested so that if the income tax question passes, the ordinance can be immediately implemented. If the income tax question does not pass, these 3 ordinances will be voted down. Additionally, because these 7 pieces of legislation are likely to generate many questions, I have asked the municipal administrator to provide a detailed review of each of these 7 pieces of legislation at our next city council meeting. She's agreed to do so. So without any further ado, with that little bit of background and anticipating a detailed explanation in 2 weeks, the First, I have an ordinance authorizing declarations of an official intent under U.S. Treasury regulations with respect to reimbursements from proceeds of bonds, notes, or other obligations of temporary advances made for payments prior to issuance and related matters. I have an ordinance amending Section 95A.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, to redistribute the unvoted 1.5% of the income tax for a continuing period of time, beginning January 1st, 2026, to allocate capital funds more proportionate to activities. I have an ordinance amending Section 95A.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, to provide for the levy of an additional 15/100%, that's 0.15%, income tax for a continuing period of time beginning January 1st, 2026, to provide funds to pay certain costs of the city's Department of Safety and payment of securities issued therefor, and declaring an emergency. I have an ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amounts of $27,720,000 for the purpose of paying costs of constructing, reconstructing, furnishing, and equipping and otherwise improving city fire stations and acquiring certain real estate therefor, together with related site improvements and necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency. I also have an ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $4,950,000 for the purpose of acquiring a fire truck and appurtenant equipment thereto, and other fire department apparatus and equipment for use by the city's fire division, and declaring an emergency. And I have an ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a contract or contracts for the professional services, construction administration services, and construction for the building and renovation of city safety facilities. And finally, I have a resolution declaring the necessity of an election on the question of approving the passage of an ordinance to amend Section 95A.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, in order to provide for the levy of an additional 15/100%, 0.15%, income tax for a continuing period of time beginning January 1st, 2026, to provide funds to pay certain costs of the city's Department of Safety and the payment of securities issued therefor.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I'm very pleased to introduce an ordinance amending and adopting changes to Section 30.115B of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding sidewalk commission, and this is from the Transportation and Safety Committee.
Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to official reports, and we will start with Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Council. Just a couple of quick items. First of all, I want to extend my congratulations to the Montessori Bike Gang for their award this evening. I've seen a number of those bicycle safety spokesperson of the award or of the year awards presented over the years, but with all due respect to previous winners, I kind of feel like I have an extra special soft spot for the Montessori Bike Gang. What a cool thing that they do, and heads off to their parents for extending that trust to their kids and in some ways to the city for providing, safe routes to schools that allow them to do this. I just think that's a great little bit of a throw time to a simpler age. So congratulations, guys. And then I also wanted to comment that we recently learned that the Bowling Green Fire Division once again was awarded the 2025 Mission Lifeline EMS Recognition Program Award. And this year they once again achieved the gold level award. I want to quote from the email that was received from the American Heart Association notifying us of this achievement. It says in part, on behalf of the American Heart Association, we would like to extend our congratulations on achieving the following for 2025 Mission Lifeline EMS recognition. Your agency is part of an elite group of pre-hospital providers recognized by the American Heart Association for your commitment and success in implementing a higher standard of care. I'm not really sure that there are a whole lot of higher honors that could be achieved by our firefighters and our EMS. If you really think, what their purpose is to be there when they're needed. And for them to achieve this award at this level, I think is a true testament to the professionalism and dedication of those officers. So I want to give a shout out to Chief Mormon, Deputy Chief Smarsley, Lieutenant Brandon Westerman, who is in large part responsible for coordinating the data associated with this award. But also I want to recognize all the hard work and dedication of the firefighters and EMS at BG Fire. We're fortunate to have them serving our community, and I'm grateful for their service. That concludes my report. I'm subject to any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions or comments for the mayor this evening? Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you guys very much. That brings us to the municipal administrator, Ms. Treader.
Good evening, council. This evening, I've invited our communications director, Amanda Gamby, to join with us to provide an update. So if there are any questions for me, we can do them now or at the end of Amanda's report.
Any questions for Ms. Treader right now? All right, Gamby, fire away.
Sure. I was told I have 10 minutes, and I could take 20 at least, so I will do my best.
You have 9.5.
Okay. He suggested I say no report, so.
That's because that's the only line he knows.
So I did pass out some information to you before the meeting, so if I don't cover everything, you'll have some more at your perusal. But just a reminder, the communication department is made up of myself, Rachel Sizer, our sustainability coordinator, and the community affairs coordinator position. And I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, have seen that Hallie Williams has been promoted into the new downtown director role. So she finished up here end of May and has hit the ground running downtown. So she did not go far, and we intend to continue to work with her on quite a few things here into the future. We posted that position and received over 200 applications. And they weren't just applications, they were quality applications. So we were absolutely thrilled and somewhat floored by the response that we had to that position. I think Michelle Ish said it was a record for her career. So we interviewed 9, and we settled on Madison. She goes by Maddie Kriegel. She will be Christoph by the time she starts with us because she's getting married this June. And she comes to us from the city of Dublin. She's been in their communications department for about 3 years now. Lori can attest, I mean, her interview was amazing. Her references came back exceptional. I can't wait to introduce you to all of her, or to all of you. She'll begin July 14th. There's a relocation and a marriage and a notice and some other things for her to get settled. And then I expect her to hit the ground running pretty immediately, so. In front of you, you have just kind of a list of some of our main outreach initiatives that we use. We're constantly looking for the next greatest, best thing, reviewing analytics, seeing where we're reaching folks. We're, as a whole, across departments, managing 12 social media accounts, and that goes across Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn. Some departments have their own pages, so that get to that 12 number. In some cases, we're doing all of the posting for that department. In other cases, it's kind of a partnership role, especially with our safety services. They do some, we do some, and that kind of thing. We have 2 weekly e-newsletters. One is the general city e-news. One is the weekly Parks and Rec e-news. Between the 2 of them, we have close to 8,500 subscribers, and we're constantly looking for more. So it's a good way for folks to stay current on not only what's going on within the city, but all of the wonderful programs that our Parks and Rec department have to offer. Of course, Code Red, the morning show, radio show with Clint, utility inserts, a welcome letter for residents. I mean, the list goes on, and you have that there in front of you. A couple of things I wanted to note specifically. We are working with a local city committee and the county committee to plan the America 250 initiatives that'll take place next year. We're also attending monthly meetings with the state organizers of that event. So what I would expect for Bowling Green and the Wood County area to have an abundance of programs beginning as early as January 2026 for that initiative. So stay tuned for more to come for that. The South Main construction project is going to ramp up about a week earlier than we had originally announced. So we're looking at the week of June 23rd instead of the week of June 30th. Not only are staff working closely with contractors on maintaining access to businesses and residents, but we're working closely with them so that we can keep our updates ongoing and up to date to residents and the traveling public. That one, I expect us to get a lot of attention, both good and bad. It's a much needed, and some of the outcomes from that final upgrade of that project is going to be amazing. You've heard it before from Mick and other updates, but the shared use path, the pedestrian crossings, I mean, it's all good stuff. We just have to tolerate some barrels for a couple more months. So you have in front of you a graphic that we've been kicking around to remind folks of the end goal, because we know it's going to be frustrating. We live, work, and play here too, but we're going to do everything we can to minimize that impact so we can get to that final goal. As far as sustainability, we have updated the Climate Action and Resiliency Improvement Plan webpage to indicate the passing of the resolutions from the council meeting 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, wherever we're at now. We continue to be a member of ICLEI, and they have recently launched ClearPath 2.0, which is the program that we use to create the greenhouse gas emissions inventory for the city. We're told that we're in line to get that upgrade implemented probably closer to end of year. And one thing that Rachel's keeping an eye on is that it also includes a public dashboard for visualizing climate actions and real-time progress tracking. We haven't seen it yet, so we don't know if it's going to be something that works for us here in Bowling Green. So Rachel has also been meeting with sustainability coordinators who also manage climate action plans from comparable communities to sort of see what they're doing and what's working for them. A lot of them are using ICLEI, but maybe considering some other options. So more to be announced on that. But although we have not formalized the accounting and reporting process, that doesn't mean we haven't started to implement some of those new programs. Hopefully you saw the new native plant voucher program that launched this spring in partnership with the Wood County Park District. We kept that a little tame at 500 vouchers, mostly because the Wood County plant folks wanted to make sure that this worked for them. They'd never done something like this, and those checkout lines can get a little long and a little tedious for their volunteers. Happy to report that we distributed all 500 vouchers rather quickly, and 439 of them were ultimately redeemed at that event, and the park was thrilled. Every time we see them since then, they're continuing to heap their praise. So hoping that's an ongoing partnership that we'll see again at future events. Wanted to update you on urban wildlife outreach. As you know, we've developed a new webpage that we continue to update as staff members receive training or get new updates. Regular posts on social media and within the e-news. Rachel and the internal team have developed a process for direct education to residents. And we've made a pretty big dent in some of our bigger properties, which I'm happy to say was only 2 addresses, but those 2 addresses were, creating quite a bit of havoc in their neighborhoods. So continuing to keep an eye on those. Also partnered with Go Zero this year and Ace Hardware to allow residents to purchase and pick up locally the compost made from the city's food waste drop-off. And then we are currently reviewing the RFPs that we received from the city's current curbside recycling program. And any updates will be reported in the next month or so. McMurray has an update for the July council meeting. So any changes that we're going to implement, all good. If they come to be, he'll announce at that time. And that's it for me, unless you have questions.
Are there any questions for Amanda or Lori?
Did she make it?
Probably not.
Well, it's communication director.
Right.
All right. That brings us to Acting City Attorney, Mr. Marsh. No report. Mr. Marsh has no report. Are there any questions for Mr. Marsh? Okay. Public Infrastructure Director, Mr. O'Connell.
No report. Let's have questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. O'Connell this evening? Okay. Council Committee Reports. Are there any Council Committee reports this evening?
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I'd like to let everyone know that there is a Transportation and Safety Committee meeting scheduled for Monday, June 30th, starting at 6 o'clock. The agenda will be, more detail to the agenda will be forthcoming, but concerning the transportation, we will be talking about streets and sidewalks, and concerning safety, we will be talking about police and fire. And a good component of this, like hopefully the bulk of the meeting, is intended to give an additional forum for people to ask questions and give feedback, concerns, whatnot, to us concerning the legislation that was being introduced tonight related to upgrading the police and fire facilities. So, and redoing the allocation for the 1.5%. So I'm hoping that it is a good forum for people to let us know what they think.
Okay. Also a reminder, this past Thursday, the 12th, we had a committee of the whole meeting here in council chambers. The primary purpose of that was a presentation to council with regard to updating safety facilities and possible ways of financing that. Many of the pieces of legislation that were introduced tonight were associated with that meeting. So, anyone have any other council committee report? Okay. That brings us to the reading of legislation.
Legislation for first reading. Ordinance 9286 for first reading. An ordinance authorizing declarations of official intent under U.S. Treasury regulations with respect to reimbursements from proceeds of bonds, notes, or other obligations of temporary advances made for payments prior to issuance and related matters. Ordinance 9287 for first reading. An ordinance amending section 95A.01 of the codified ordinances of the city of Ohio to redistribute the unvoted 1.5% of the income tax for a continuing period of time beginning January 1, 2026, to allocate capital funds more proportionate to activities. Ordinance 9288 for first reading. An ordinance amending section 95A.01 of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to provide for the levy of an additional 15/100%, 0.15% income tax for a continuing period of time beginning January 1, 2026, to provide funds to pay certain costs of the city's Department of Safety and the payment of securities issued therefore, and declaring an emergency. Resolution number 3885 for first reading. a resolution declaring the necessity of an election on the question of approving the passage of an ordinance to amend Section 95A.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, in order to provide for the levy of an additional 15/100% 0.15% income tax for a continuing period of time beginning January 1, 2026, to provide funds to pay certain costs of the city's Department of Safety and the payments of securities issued therefore. Ordinance 9289 for first reading. An ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $27,720 for the purpose of paying costs of constructing, reconstructing, furnishing, and equipping and otherwise improving city fire stations and acquiring certain real estate therefore, together with related site improvements and necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 9290 for first reading, an ordinance to provide for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $4,950,000 for the purpose of acquiring a fire truck and appurtenant equipment thereto, and other fire department apparatus and equipment for use by the city's fire division, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 9291 for first reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a contract or contracts for professional services, construction administration services, and construction for the building and renovation of safety facilities. Ordinance 9292 for first reading. Ordinance amending and adopting changes to Section 30.115B of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding sidewalk commission. There is no legislation for second reading. Legislation for third reading. Resolution 3882, resolution adopting the estimate of revenues for the year 2026.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
it is noted for the record that exhibits for the resolution were provided to members of council prior to this meeting, and I move to adopt Resolution 3882.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Musgrave?
Yes.
Odoricio?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
All right, Resolution 3882 is adopted.
Ordinance 9278 for third reading. Ordinance for cleaning of streets by special assessment.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt Ordinance 9278.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Hollenbaugh?
Yes.
Musgrave?
Yes.
Odoricio?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Ordinance 9278 is adopted.
Ordinance 9279 for third reading. Ordinance amending and adopting changes to Section 70.35 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding eligibility for police tow list and establishment tow charge rates.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt Ordinance 9279.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Jody?
Musgrave?
Yes.
Odoricio?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Robinette?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Hollenbaugh?
Yes. Ordinance 9279 is adopted.
Ordinance 9280 for third reading. Ordinance amending and adopting changes to Section 38.02 and certain sections of Chapter 159 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding classification of civil offenses and exterior property maintenance.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I move that we adopt Ordinance 9280.
Second.
Second. Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9280 is adopted.
Ordinance 9281 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the placement of 416 West Wooster Street on the local historic register with historic overlay zoning as suggested by the Historic Preservation Commission.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to table ordinance 9281 until our July 7th meeting. That's the date of the required public hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9281 is tabled until Monday, July 7th.
Ordinance 9282 for third reading. Ordinance accepting annexation of approximately 2.66 acres of land located at 14556 Sand Ridge Road in Plain Township, Wood County, Ohio, from Raymond Curris, agent and petitioner.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to adopt ordinance 9282.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio.
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 9282 is adopted.
Ordinance 9283 for third reading. Ordinance establishing interim zoning of R1 low-density residential zoning for the approximately 2.66 acres of land located at 14556 Sandridge Road and recently annexed to the city as petitioned for by Raymond Curris, agent and petitioner.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to table ordinance 9283 until our meeting on Monday, July 7th. That's the date of the required public hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 9283 is tabled till Monday, July 7th.
Ordinance 9284 for third reading. Ordinance accepting annexation of approximately 2.92 acres of land located at 14618 Sandridge Road in Plain Township, Wood County, Ohio, from JTMG Holdings Limited, petitioner, and Anthony Wolf, agent.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to adopt ordinance 9284.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 9284 is adopted.
Ordinance 9285 for third reading. Ordinance establishing interim zoning of R1 low-density residential zoning for the approximately 2.92 acres of land located at 14618 Sand Ridge Road and recently annexed to the city as petitioned for by JTMG Holdings Limited petitioner and Anthony Wolf, agent.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to table ordinance 9285 until Monday, July 7th. That, again, is the date of our public hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9285 is tabled till Monday, July 7th. Is there any other business to come before council this evening? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
I think your title is Second Master.